All right, everyone, good morning. So, have you ever really stopped to look at a plant and just wonder, how is it all put together? From a giant tree to a little flower, they all kind of follow a basic blueprint. Today, we're going to break down that blueprint. We'll look at the fundamental parts of a plant, what they do, and some of the incredibly clever ways they adapt to survive. So, let's get started. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. This will help you organize your notes. We'll start with the overall plant body blueprint. Then we'll zoom in on the three basic organs. After that, we're going to explore some really amazing adaptations of roots, stems, and leaves. And finally, we'll wrap up by talking about why all of these adaptations are so incredibly important. All right, let's start with the big picture, that blueprint. To really understand it, I want you to imagine a plant living in two completely different worlds at the exact same time, right? One part is down in the dark, wet soil, and the other part is reaching up into the bright, dry air. This dual existence is really the key to understanding its entire structure. So these two worlds lead to two major systems. You have the shoot system, which is everything above the ground, and the root system, everything below. The shoot system, with its stems and leaves, well, it's basically the plant's solar panel and its factory, right? It's capturing sunlight and CO2 to make food. Meanwhile, down below, the root system acts as both an anchor and a sponge. It holds the plant firmly in place while soaking up water and minerals from the soil. And here's the crucial point, and you might want to note this. They are completely dependent on each other. The shoots need water from the roots, and the roots need the food made by the shoots. It's a perfect partnership, and they're connected by what we call vascular tissue, which is essentially the plant's plumbing system. Okay, so with that big picture in mind, let's zoom in now on the building blocks themselves. Pretty much all vascular plants, from a simple fern to a complex fruit tree, are built from just three basic organs. So let's define each one. First up, the roots. Now, this is a key concept, so pay close attention to this definition. At its core, a root has three primary jobs. First, anchorage, holding the plant down. Second, absorption, soaking up water and minerals. And third, storage. They often store energy, usually as carbohydrates. So you can think of them as the plant's foundation, its drinking straw, and its pantry, all rolled into one. Next, we have the stems. A stem's main job is to act like a scaffold, a support structure that holds the leaves and buds up towards the sunlight. Its whole purpose is to grow and position those leaves so they can get the maximum amount of light for photosynthesis. Stems also act as an elevator, lifting flowers and fruits up high where they can be seen by pollinators or where wind can carry their seeds. And just so you know the terminology, the points where leaves attach are called nodes, and the empty spaces between those points are called internodes. And that brings us to our third basic organ, the leaves. Now, we all know leaves are the solar-powered food factories of the plant. That's where photosynthesis happens. But they actually do a lot more. They're also vital for gas exchange, what you might think of as the plant breathing carbon dioxide and oxygen. They can act like a radiator to help the plant cool down. And, as we're about to see, they can be modified into some pretty surprising tools for defense and survival. Okay, let's do a quick mini summary checkpoint here. So, what have we covered? We have three basic organs: roots, stems, and leaves. These organs are organized into two interconnected systems, the root system and the shoot system. And every single part has to work together in harmony for the whole plant to live. But, this is where it gets really fascinating. Having that basic blueprint is one thing, but the real world is complicated. To survive in all kinds of different environments, from dry deserts to watery swamps, plants have evolved some truly incredible adaptations. Let's start by looking at some of the amazing ways that roots have been modified. Now, when we analyze root systems, we generally see two main designs. Over on the left, you see the taproot system. This has one large main root that grows straight down, kind of like a carrot. This design is fantastic for anchoring tall plants and for reaching water that's deep in the soil. In contrast, look at the right side. This is the fibrous root system. It's a thick, dense mat of many slender roots that spread out close to the surface, like what you'd see on a patch of grass. It doesn't go as deep, but it is absolutely brilliant for holding topsoil together and preventing erosion. It's like a living net. A perfect illustration of root adaptation is something many of us eat all the time: storage roots. Things like carrots, sweet potatoes, and beets, they're all just highly specialized roots. They've been modified to act like underground storage tanks for food and water. This is a brilliant survival strategy because it lets the plant save up energy for when conditions aren't so good. And get this, Some roots actually grow above the ground. We call these aerial roots. For example, corn plants grow what are called prop roots. They grow from the stem down into the soil, and they act like little kickstands to give the tall plant extra support. In tropical rainforests, huge trees develop buttress roots, which look like giant braces at the base of the tree, giving them stability in shallow soil. And maybe the weirdest of all are the pneumatophores or air roots you see on mangrove trees. These roots actually grow upwards out of the swampy water for one simple reason: to get oxygen. But hey, roots aren't the only ones with these cool tricks. Up in the shoot system, stems and leaves have their own set of amazing modifications that let them conquer different environments. So let's look at a few modified stems. We have rhizomes, which are stems that grow horizontally right under the surface of the soil. Then you have stolons, which are often called runners. They do the same thing, but on top of the surface. It's how a strawberry plant can spread out and basically clone itself. And finally, tubers. These are the swollen, food-storing ends of rhizomes or stolons. And yes, fun fact here, this means a potato is technically a modified stem, not a root. And leaves can be just as clever. You know those little curly tendrils on a pea plant that help it climb? Those are actually modified leaves. The sharp spines on a cactus that protect it from hungry animals? Yep, also leaves, just repurposed for defense. The layers of an onion? Those are fleshy storage leaves designed to hold food. And some plants, like the kalanchoe, even have reproductive leaves that can grow tiny new baby plants right on their edges. Okay, so we've seen the basic parts, and we've seen some of these really clever adaptations. So now it's time to evaluate the big question here. Why does any of this matter? Let's zoom out and consider the significance of all this. So really, after all these details about taproots and tubers and tendrils, so what? Why is it so important to understand plant adaptation? Well, it matters for three huge reasons. First, and most obviously, is for the survival of the plant itself. These adaptations are what allow plants to live almost everywhere on Earth. Second, these adaptations are essential for the stability of entire ecosystems. Remember those fibrous root systems? They literally hold the ground together and prevent soil from washing away. And third, it's the very foundation of human agriculture. For thousands of years, we've been identifying and cultivating plants with these special adaptations. The storage roots and tubers we talked about are what we eat for dinner. This all comes down to a fundamental idea in biology, which is captured perfectly in this quote from the Campbell biology textbook. The structure of each plant part has been molded by natural selection. Let that sink in for a moment. Every single clever modification we discussed today, every spine, every tuber, every air root, it's all the result of millions of years of evolution, constantly shaping and refining a plant's design to fit its environment perfectly. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. We've seen how plants have adapted to countless challenges in the past. As our global climate continues to change, what new and incredible adaptations do you think we might see plants evolving to survive in the future? That's something to think about.